everyone. It's been a long time, huh? Almost 2 years. The last time I talked to you guys, I think, or you guys saw my big head in a video, was when I was doing 63 podcasts back in 2020, what, late April, May, somewhere around there. So we're about in March, so not quite 2 years, but, pretty damn close of 2022. So, yeah, I've got some good news, big news. I'm going to start getting back to Alvarez Metalworks pretty heavily because the big thing that has kept me from really doing that stuff was the fact that I haven't had a real shop that I can do the vehicle work in, and that's the bulk of my content on this channel is working on like Project Pathfinder, Project Tow Rig, and other vehicle projects. It's where my interest is. And when I moved into this house that I'm currently in 2018, I didn't really have that wasn't really an option for me. I have a 3-car garage here, but the ceiling's really low and Project Tow Rig's not fitting in there. Won't even go through the door. Project Pathfinder will fit in there, but it's too tight. I could barely even pick it up without hitting the garage door opener, so it's totally pointless, right? And I've got my other building that's 20 by 50. It's a big building, but it's again low ceiling. Where it's at in the yard doesn't make any sense to try to run anything heavy across the yard because I got my septic system over there. And the way the building is built, the foundation and stuff to put in garage doors, plus the roof is super low. It's only 7 feet. It's just not going to work, right? So that shop has been delegated as a woodworking shop right now, and it is operational. It's not where I want it. I'd like to get a nicer table saw and some other equipment in there, and a dust collection system in there. But ultimately, the big issue with that building is that I've still got to repair the roof, and hopefully I'll be able to address that this summer. It leaks, and it's actually sagged, but that's been reinforced. Unfortunately, it wasn't done by me. Somebody else did it, and they didn't get rid of the issue with the sagging. They just reinforced it so it didn't get worse. And it's a bit of an eyesore, so I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that. But I got to get it to stop leaking, even if it's just temporary, so I can finish off the interior and do what I want to it. So the other half of the building is going to be used for upholstery. So if you guys have been following me on social media, you'll know that I acquired a bunch of industrial sewing machines from a gentleman by the name of Jordy. He's the owner of McGee Canvas here in Central Square, Brooklyn, New York, and he gifted me those machines because he does all the canvas work at my marina, and he knows that I do a lot of upholstery there at the marina as well. And he knew that I would probably want them, so he asked me. And they'd been sitting around for a long time, and they needed to be serviced. He wasn't sure with the condition of any of them. So fortunately for me, I know how to work on them. And I timed them all, cleaned them all up real good, oiled them up, and they're all fine, except for one. One's a parts machine. I got two Juki, what the hell are they? Two Juki LU 563 walking foot machines. I've got one FAF 142 double needle machine, standard foot. The parts machine and one of the other machines is an identical FAF machine as well. They're 145s, I believe they are, walking foot machines. And then I got a Bernina Chandler 217 zigzag machine, standard foot but zigzag. Super cool machine, very unique, actually really expensive machine. The only downside to that one was he dropped it when they were moving it. So he busted the needle guide at the top, the little post, and I extracted that, and I've made another one for it, so that's not an issue. And then that machine is capable of running double needles if you have the attachments to do so. And I've never actually seen anybody with the attachments for them. So I just have a single needle, but the machine has two thread tensioners on it so that you can run double needles. And one of the thread tensioners busted when it fell. which is not important for a single needle. But if I ever find the parts to run double needle and I choose to, I'll have to replace that at some point too. So, again, the parts are super hard to find for those machines. So I'm not really worried about it, to be honest with you. So basically, I got a small sweatshop I'm going to be building in there. So I'm going to have to find me some. Well, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to get in trouble. But I'll have to find me some people to, very small, young people to help work in the shop. um, the 3-car garage, that's going to be a machine shop. So I've got my big American pacemaker lathe in there. If you guys follow Adam Booth on YouTube, The Machinist, you'll know what that looks like. And if you've been following me, you've probably seen that on social media. Mine is smaller than his, but it is definitely not a small machine. The lathe he's got is fucking enormous. It's a 20-inch swing, and I believe he said it was a 150-inch bed, which is twice what mine is. Actually, 3 times. Maybe it's 100-inch bed. I'm not sure. It's longer than mine by a lot. Long enough where his has a center support and mine doesn't. Mine just got the tailstock support and the head support. But my machine's 6,000 pounds, so it's not small. It's got a 16-inch swing and a 54-inch bed. And yeah, big machine. They look identical though, with the exception that his is longer. At first glance, they look like the exact same machine. So that's in there. I've got my Excello knee mill, which is, when I say knee mill, that's like a Bridgeport style mill, a vertical mill. I've got that. That's actually functioning. It's fine. I use it from time to time, but I want to use it a lot more. Same with that pacemaker. I've actually never powered up the pacemaker because I haven't had 3-phase power in that shop, but I do have all the stuff to do it with the exception of the breaker box. I got a American Rotary 20 horsepower phase converter. And when did I order that? This past fall sometime. So I was sitting there on the pallet waiting to be installed. I haven't installed it yet just because of weather, and it's really cold out. It's wintertime, so I don't want to be out in the shop because it's freezing. So yeah, that stuff is going to get all powered up, and that same shop is where I'm going to put my. I'm actually going to order probably a 4x8 CNC plasma table. I'm 99% sure who I'm going to order it from, but I'm not going to announce that yet until I actually order it. And then I'll put out a video showing off the machine before I actually get it, but showing you video clips of other people's, the manufacturer showing the machine and explaining why I went with that particular machine, if that's what happens. So we'll have that conversation hopefully in the near future. So that'll go in there. I got to finish insulating that. I have all the insulation. I have all the OSB that thankfully I bought before the stuff became $65 a sheet. So I just got to get around to doing it, and it just got too cold. And I was working on a roof rack project for my work truck, and that's my other part of the conversation that we're going to have here. That goes back to how I was able to acquire the funding to do all this stuff. So last summer, well, let me start with fall of 2020. My uncle had gotten liver cancer. This is the uncle that raised me after my mother passed away when I was 13. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that situation. I probably will on my 63 podcast channel on Rumble. I'm not sure just yet. But basically, long story short, he gifted me a 47 Dodge sedan. He gifted me a very rough Diamond C old trailer that needed a new deck, needed axle bearings, needed wiring, needed a new jack, needed new fenders. But it's a solid trailer. It's rated for, I think, a little over 9,000 pounds. Not quite 10,000 pounds. It's 18 foot long, dovetail. pretty heavy duty trailer, to be honest with you. So he gave me that. He gave me a 2007 Ford F350 dually with a service bed, extended bed, so it's an 11-foot bed, single cab, super uncomfortable, bare bones, mechanical windows with the roll it up. It does not have cruise control, which sucks, especially when you're driving that all the way across the country. When I got it, it was actually in really rough shape. The transmission was slipping, major electrical problems. Front end needed to be rebuilt. The rear axle was falling out, and I didn't know it until I was mid trip on my way home. The front leaf spring bolt on the driver's side was halfway out, and it appears that it had been that way for quite some time. So I did not have the means of acquiring a factory bolt on the trip, and I did not have the means of taking it to a shop and having that addressed. And I figured I made it from northern Arizona to New Mexico, and I believe I was just past Gallup, and so I figured I'm just going to keep going, which luckily didn't turn into a very dangerous situation, but it is what it is. That trip sucked. Very, very rough trip, and we will definitely talk about that as I start putting out content for that build. And yeah, and I'll explain that in a later date. This video is going to get too long if I do that. So he also gifted me 10 acres of land out there. Normally, I would have probably kept that if it was in a more desirable location. It's in just outside of a town that's unincorporated, and as a result, there's no real police present out there. There's just like highway patrol, and it's hit or miss, and they don't really venture out into the neighborhoods, which is the woods. It's high desert. Um, and there's a lot of crime. There's a lot of people that go up there and they're hiding out warrants, so on and so forth, drug addicts, shit like that. A lot of theft, which became an issue when I was helping my uncle with his estate and everything. So basically, he gave me that land. It's very difficult to get to. When he first purchased it, he had access through the railroad the side road that they have, and they shut him down from doing that. And then that left the only access to this land was through a very roundabout way where you actually have to leave the county and come back into the county. And the road is unmaintained, and it's like an off-road trail. It's really that bad, and that's coming from somebody who's like into four-wheeling. It's really bad. So he kind of abandoned that property, to be honest with you. I'm sure he went out there from time to time, but when I had went out there the first time to just go over everything that he had and document everything and take pictures of it, um, I could tell nobody had been out there for years. So he offered that to me, and I told him, I was like, I don't really have any use for it, but I'll take it, but I'm gonna let you know I'm gonna probably sell it. And he said, I don't care. That's fine, do whatever you want to do with it. So I was like, okay. So I took it, and I actually was gonna sit on it for a little while anyways until the dust settled and I figured out what I wanted to do. And because that was a pretty rough experience, and coming home was pretty rough as well. A lot of emotional baggage with work from being gone from work for 2.5 months. Relationship with my wife, I was gone that whole time. She came to visit me during Christmas, but there's a lot of shit that I was bringing home, and just trying to let the dust settle. Um, and trying to get back on track was a little bit of a task. Plus, I was in a lot of fucking debt. Being gone for that long was not financially good. But, so I decided to put the land up for sale as soon as I got home. And I was hoping it would sell pretty quick so I can get a building built and a plasma table. And it didn't. I had it priced high, but I quickly lowered the price. The realtor thought it would, sell for pretty good. And I was shocked at the number. But when I had no action on it, I brought it down to what I thought it was more reasonable. given the difficulties with road access and stuff like that. And, I just sat on it. And we're almost basically at the year point of when I listed it. So um, I was actually seriously considering just taking it off the market and just sitting on it. The taxes are nothing. It was like $235 a year. So it was literally nothing. Um, so I was like, I'll just sit on it and see what happens, see if it increases, see if this town starts getting better because the population out there has increased. Um, but I got a cash offer, a little bit lower than what I was asking for it, but I went back and forth with them. I got that number up a little bit, still lower than what I was asking, but good enough for me. I accepted. We're under contract, and I'm just waiting for to close so I can get cash in hand. Um, and also, during this past summer, was considering refinancing my house, and because I was wanting to take advantage of the low interest rate, and I knew that my house was worth substantially more than what I paid for it. So I knew that there was equity there, and because the property wasn't selling, I figured, well, let me refinance my house. I'll refinance it for as high as I can so I can get the money to build my shop. Problem with that is that it was probably going to keep me in a 30-year mortgage, which I'm currently in, and I'm 45 years old. That's not very appealing, right? So, yeah, kind of kicked the ball down the court a little bit and just, you know, sat on it and didn't make any quick actions with that. And I almost fucked up and almost lost my opportunity to refinance at a low interest rate. And I started to see the interest rates going up in early January. So I called up my lender and tried to refinance at a 15-year for just what the house is worth so I can get this thing paid off. And I figure that was more important than my shop, and especially given the state of this country and the economy right now. Um, Very concerned about that. Plus, I don't want to be paying for a house in my when I'm 70 years old. So yeah, so they gave me some bad news when I contacted them. They said the feds just increased the interest the day before I called them. And I was like, "Are you sure about that?" And I checked when I got off the phone, and it definitely was higher, a lot higher. I think it was about 4% when I checked, which wouldn't have allowed me to refinance at 15 years. I wouldn't have been able to afford the payment. So, um, and that's what they informed me about. So I just chalked it up as I made a stupid mistake, and I sat on my hands too long, and it is what it is. Now I get to just cross my fingers and sort it out. Well, that lasted for 2 days, and I was on my online banking with my credit union, and an ad popped up for refinance at 2.5%. So I contacted them immediately and put that in action. And I'm actually in the middle of waiting for that to close as well. So I had a line of credit out with them, um, an equity line of credit on the house that has to get paid off for the refinance. But I told them I would like to leave that open as a cushion and safety net. So in the future, if I need it, I've got some money set aside for it. They were fine with that, which is like 11 grand. So between that and what I'm selling this property for, I have enough to get the plasma table, and I have enough to get a shop. The shop's probably not going to. I know it's not going to be as big as I wanted it to be because I wanted, like a 40 by, or excuse me, like a. Well, really, I wanted a 40 by 60, but I was fine with doing like a 30 by 50 or a 30 by 60. But that's not going to happen. What it looks like I'm going to be limited to is a 24 by 50 or 24 by 60, um, or somewhere in between. Hopefully, I can do that. It's it's probably going to be tight, but hopefully, I can do that. It really depends on the current cost of the buildings and also the cost to get the site work done. So, but I think that's feasible. We're going to find out as soon as I have cash in hand. So let's talk about the future of this channel real quick. Because as you know, in 2020, I rebranded it to UVision Media, that right there. And my intention was to bring in more content that was outside of metalworking. I reversed action on that, and that's why you now see that over here, Alvarez Metalworks logo. Um, this channel is going to be specifically metalworking, Alvarez Metalworks stuff from here on forward. I'm going to try to speed this up and not get too in depth about that, but basically, the changes are due to the current state in our country and the cancel culture and the censoring on these platforms, and making sure that I've got a safety net for future and that I don't have any one platform having a stranglehold on my content. So my plan is to take my content and spread it out amongst many different platforms. And the first one that I'm actively in the middle of putting together is Rumble. I have my other two YouTube channels, which is the 6-3 podcast channel already set up. Links are down in the description. And my ILAC channel, that is spelt lowercase I, capital L, capital A, capital A, capital C. Look for the butterfly. That's that channel. What that channel is going to be is dedicated to any video content that is non-metalworking. So whether it be woodworking, furniture, upholstery, cooking, stuff in the studio, like electronic stuff, anything other than Alvarez Metalworks content and 63 podcasts will be on that channel. So if you're interested in seeing some of that, subscribe to it. There's some videos on there, but they're really old. I think the newest one is just a cooking video of me cooking some pork steaks. So feel free to check it out. On Rumble, those two channels, the 63 podcast and ILAC, are there. ILAC only has one video, the cooking video. All of my podcast videos are on Rumble. The YouTube channel for 63 podcast is only going to probably be clips, specifically because I don't want YouTube to demonetize this channel or shut this channel down or ILAC because of content that I have on 63 podcast. So I'm just going to use clicks or clips on the channel and use it to direct traffic to Rumble and or the other platforms that I create, not create, but upload to. And we'll talk about that in the future as those things are implemented. If you guys don't know what Rumble is, just type in Rumble in your search engine and you will find it. It's a video hosting website platform, a lot like YouTube, but just smaller. It's in its infancy. So it's got a lot of room for growth, and it needs to grow, and it is growing. It's actually growing very rapidly, namely because of the censorship on YouTube right now is pretty aggressive. And a lot of the right-wing content, specifically right-wing news content, has went to Rumble as a safety net so that they have a place to post their content at. They do monetize video. They do pay. All the platforms I'm going to be working with do pay, whether if it's cash or crypto or both. But I'm going to spread out my content amongst many different platforms from here on out because I want to not be I don't want to be pigeonholed by these mainstream platforms anymore. And it's a win-win for everybody who does it because you're gaining more exposure. Yes, it is more work, but you're gaining more exposure. You're gaining more traffic overall. You're having the ability to generate money in different platforms as well. And if you're searching out for marketing partners or sponsors, that increases your value because your content is spread out in more locations than just YouTube. So your exposure. So, that's how I feel about it. That's what's happening. That's what we're going to be doing. Links are all down here in the description, and all my social media links will be there as well. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So let's look at this building real quick. If you guys have any experience with these steel buildings that are a lot like a Versatube building, but not as shitty. I want your opinion about this. Give me a quick second. I'm a little unprepared. Get you on my computer screen here. So this is Carport Central's website. This is their steel tube building, and this is definitely a company that is high up on the consideration list. I would rather a building that I'm more confident in its structural strength. Um, there's various reasons why I would prefer like a stick built building or a red iron building over this. Um, but I think that this building is going to be significantly cheaper and more efficient. My concerns are snow load. Um, Carport Central claims that they can get me a 90-pound snow load, which my drawings of it and pricing are with a 90-pound snow load, even though code requires 70, I believe, in my area. So this particular building that I'm looking at is obviously just a carport, but I'm just showing it to you so you can see the structure. I need to have, I plan on putting a 2-post lift in the building. So I need to have about 12 and a half feet to clear the lift that I'm looking at. It's a 2-post, 10,000-pound lift, tall capacity, so that I can get the trucks up off the ground. And because I'm 6'1", so I believe with a 312 pitch that I'll be fine with a 24-foot wide building. Just because this structure should look exactly the way it does in the building that I would be doing. You get these eave braces and then the peak braces in there to prevent separation. I believe these trusses are all fully welded. Where they do screw together or fit together is in the vertical portions, and then in the post to truss gussets, I believe, are screwed together. But the truss itself, I believe, is a single piece. I could be wrong, but I believe it's a single welded piece. So anyways, if you guys have any experience with these particular buildings, I would really like your feedback. I know that they sound like tin cans when they rain. I think I'm pretty confident I can address that issue. I'm not unfamiliar with audio, as you know, because I have a recording studio to do podcasting in my house. And the audio, I think you can tell me, sounds pretty decent. So you don't have a lot of echo or anything like that going on in this room, reverberation. And so I'm pretty sure I can eliminate that or make it tolerable in shop videos, in this style of building. I just will have to do a little bit of work, which is fine. The most important part is to get a building. So this is the design I'm looking at. So 24, this particular design is 55 feet. They have it priced at $32,220. That does not include taxes. That does not include site work or the slab, but it does include installation. The drawing shows the frame structure. This front door is 12 foot wide by 10 feet tall, regular man door. I believe it's 36 by 7, typical house entry door. And then these two roll ups are 10 by 10. So the idea is this front section, this gable wall will be facing the road. This side wall will be facing my house and my driveway. So I pull into my driveway. If I go straight, I run into my garage where the machine shop will be. If I turn 90 degrees or almost 90 degrees, I'll be able to pull right into here. And the idea would be to get an asphalt company out here and pave this whole driveway up to the side of this building, so that I can park my trailer out here and stuff like that. So should be plenty of room to do all that on the property, given that I wanted a building at least twice this size. So, or not twice, but pretty close. This ends up being like 1,320 square feet in this configuration. I may have to step down to a 50-foot to afford it. We'll see if I go with this particular company. But things of concerns and questions I have for people that have experience. Snow load, big issue. I live in central New York. We get snow. We get a lot of snow. I want to know if you know anybody with one of these buildings, how it's held up in the winter in a snowy environment. Um, if you've noticed any issues with the building, things of concern, um, workmanship and the manufacturing of it, um, big gaps that I'm going to have to deal with when it comes to insulating it, what you feel about the garage doors that they use. These are all going to be roll-up doors. I've thought about going with non-roll-up doors and just getting my own and getting insulated doors. I may do that, but again, it depends on pricing. Um, Insulated doors are ideal. The only problem with them is they they roll, they fold up into the ceiling and they block a bunch of light if I have the doors open. Where the roll ups, I can roll them up and I still have plenty of lighting. So, in all reality, I really don't see myself heating this building up very much. If I heat it up, it's probably either going to be with a wood stove, maybe a propane radiant heater that only gets turned on when I use it, but probably like a kerosene heater or diesel heater or something like that. I don't know. I'm not too concerned about that heating that building up. If it gets too cold for me to work on car projects, I can work on other projects in the other buildings. So um, that's not a huge issue. The huge issue is getting the building and getting the space, getting the lift, and getting the shit in there instead of being outside. So let me know if you guys know of any construction type design issues I should be aware of. The other thing is, if anybody has one of these or knows somebody that's had one and they did an addition off of it, um, how difficult was that to pull permits for? Because it's an engineered building. Did you or they have to go out and get engineered drawings from the manufacturer, or hire an engineer to approve the design of, like, let's say, throwing a lean-to onto it and closing it in? Those are all things that I'm wanting to know, because there's a possibility that I may want to pop this wall out 12 feet and put a lean-to on it. And if I do, that would provide me a lot more interior space, which would be awesome, um, for more equipment, more machines, and, you know, but not necessary. So we'll see. I just want to know for future growth. I probably shouldn't outgrow this building. I mean, I could outgrow anything just by buying more vehicles, but um, buying more vehicles and big equipment. But at a certain point, if I'm growing to that kind of degree, I have to really look at not doing this at my residence anymore and look at getting a commercial building. So I think this will be suitable, if I'm being honest. Anything really that will get me at least two vehicles in it is suitable. So the fact that I can get three comfortably in here is, and tools, toolboxes, workbenches, stuff like that, compressor, tire changing machines, and a lift, that's really good. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to end this video. We're 30 minutes in. Like always, subscribe, comment, like. Thank you guys for all the support that you've given me and sticking around. And hopefully this gets the YouTube algorithm giving my videos more traffic now that I've uploaded something within the past 2 years. And yeah, stay tuned for a lot more to come. And like, again, if you're at all interested in the other content that I'm not going to upload on this channel, please follow the links and subscribe to it. I will be adding to that list as those other platforms get up and operational as far as my content is concerned. Alvarez Metalworks will be on Rumble. It is actually on Rumble, but the videos aren't there yet because it does an automatic migration from YouTube to Rumble, but it could take days or weeks. And given the fact that I've got 300 plus videos on this channel, I assume it's going to take weeks. So the link will be down there if you guys want to subscribe to it, but there's just no content there yet. And until that process starts to happen, There won't be any content on there, but when it does, I will announce it. I'll announce it here on this channel and share that information with you guys. But you can jump the gun and subscribe now if you want to. Yeah, talk to you guys later. Peace out.